So, here we are in Pamporovo. I'm a couple days out from heading to Poland and then to Ukraine. We return to the scene of the crime, where tomorrow will be 5 weeks since this disastrous calf injury. This is basically where it happened. It wasn't anywhere. There was nobody here at the time. This has just really picked up recently as the summer crowd starts to show up. But this was where I managed to limp to, and then people saw me sitting at the restaurant, felt sorry for me, and came to help. I mean, it's unfortunate I got hurt, but in a lot of ways, there was some luck involved. I mean, I had been planning on going up into the mountains up there in the woods where there's a trail that I'd seen before, but right down here, just over this little rise, so not quite, about 100 yards from here is where my calf muscle snapped, and people were able to, people get help pretty quick. If I'd have been up there a mile and a half or two, I'd have had to crawl back down the mountain. I don't know, I'd dread even thinking about it. But anyway, God, it's really nice today. Weather's warming up here. It's 11 o'clock and it's already 80 degrees, which, I mean, the rest of Europe, I think down in the lowlands, out of the mountains, it's probably getting into the 90s. There's a heat wave all over Europe, so that's one of the reasons people come up here too, is to get into some cooler weather. And one of the things that's going on the weekends around here is mountain bike races. Take them up the chairlift. One of the things I attribute it to is creatine supplement. I've been taking that just as a prophylactic. I'm not trying to build muscle or anything, but it's scientifically, there's evidence backing up that as you get older, as your muscles start to waste away, if you take creatine, you can help maintain the muscles you have. So I've been taking low doses, about a gram and a half a day. But so I had it on hand, and when I got this injury, I basically started taking, I was taking a gram and a half, 2 grams. They bumped up 3 grams, and from what I've read, that could have been a help. So if you ever do get a pulled muscle, or torn muscle, or any kind of muscle injury, try creatine supplement, not just for bodybuilders. One of the things I'm unhappy about, well, this is all that 3.5 weeks of hardly getting any exercise. Oh, 4 weeks really. I've aerobically challenged. Earlier when I was in Curitiba, Brazil, there's all kinds of hills and mountains, and I was really getting aerobically in good shape. Came here to get in better shape. As they say, such are the best laid plans of mice and men. Don't always work out. I think I said this more than a few times. Getting old sucks. I mean, you start to feel a little fragile when, you know, I was doing something stupid and or really strenuous, and one thing, but this just happened when I Took a large step across a little stream. Landed with on the bank, was canted. I didn't get the top. Came up short, and make sure there's no racers coming down. Don't want to again run over. But anyway, yeah, so now this is always in the back of my mind. I'm like, what's going to happen next? Have to be really careful walking. I don't see any here, but one of the things I've been having fun finding when I was out walking along these trails is little tiny alpine strawberries, and the raspberries are starting to come in. Mostly in places where there's lots of sun. I see a lot of raspberry plants that don't have flowers set yet. Oh, there's something. In answer to the often asked question, how many flies can you fit on a flower? Those are all flies, by the way. They're all mimics. There's not a bee in there. I've looked and looked and looked. Bees don't like this particular flower. So those are all, I mean, they look just like bees. But you can tell by the large eyes, the fact that they have one set of wings, that they are flies. I guess being a bee-centric person, I never realized that flies are pollinators in some parts of the world, even in the US, I guess, according to ChatGPT. You always think of flies get a bad reputation. You think, yeah, they just eat shit. Apparently not. Even saw some horseflies. And apparently they only bite you and suck blood, the females do, just like mosquitoes, when they need a blood meal to produce eggs. Interesting. I find lots of stuff like that interesting. People look at my videos and go, how come you're always talking about bugs and flowers and stuff? And it's like, well, I don't know. It's kind of just being, I guess I'm a naturalist in a sense. I really like everything that nature has to show you. It's just so amazing. Sometimes we move too fast in life. You know, you're always in a car, someplace driving by fast, you see stuff, and it's like, yeah, you don't actually see the details. Even a lot of people get out in nature and they jog or they ride bikes and they're zooming by and they don't see the intricacies. And you come up and you look at a tree with gnarled bark, and there's a lot of stuff going on there. Ah, the trail splits. Decisions. That one looks a little rougher. Let's stick to this one. I look at water and it's like, water is my kryptonite now. Because when I first started this whole global tumbleweed tour thing, I was in Portland, Oregon, in the hills and mountains trying to get in shape. and I was up on Mount Tabor, going down the backside on trail, and I came to a little thing like that where it had rained a couple of days before, and so there was still a muddy place with a little stream going through it, and I leapt across, and my left foot slipped and went behind me for just a sec, and if it had just continued slipping, it would have been fine. I'd have hit my knee and hurt myself, but as it was, it slipped, got to a dry spot, stuck, and I went straight down, and my foot stayed where it was, and my knee touched the ground. Yeah, I remember hearing that. I heard the bone break, snap, and I was like, I mean, it was loud. As I was laying there, I rolled onto a stick or something. There was a stick broke, right? And there was nothing there. It was just, my ankle broke. That one I had to hobble down about a little over a mile to get to a place where I could call an Uber. And now this time, there's a little tiny stream. I go step across it, and I broke my right ankle. This time I tore a muscle on my left leg. So beware of water crossings. God, I'd love to come back here in the wintertime and go skiing. It's not a huge mountain, but there's trails. When you see that tower originally when it was filming, you can't see it now, it's hidden somewhere over there, but there's a tower there. And there's ski trails on the backside of the mountain, and a couple that go in that direction. So, and they go all the way down to there. My apartment's over there. It goes down here, and I also saw another trail over there. So there's a lot of skiable area. I had thought about doing that a few months ago, because when I can only stay 3 months in Ukraine, so then my Ukraine trip runs out at the end of October. It's possible I could have got another month or so if I get a job with a non-profit as a volunteer, but as I was getting closer, there's some non-profit work that I might be able to do, but whether they would go out on a limb and say, hey, yeah, we need him for another month. So anyway, I decided, at the time I was thinking, well, maybe I'll come back to Bulgaria, stay for a month and go skiing, which wouldn't have been a bad idea. But in my quest to find a place where I can kind of stop moving for a little bit, I mean, I really am enjoying this a lot. So anyway, I had been watching this one guy's channel on YouTube who's a traveler, has great videos of places all over the world. And I got back to Guatemala. And I've spent time in Guatemala way back, 36 years ago or more, when I was in the Peace Corps. Matter of fact, went there on my honeymoon with my wife, and I really liked Guatemala. And this guy was showing a video of an area not too far from Guatemala City. Definitely don't want to stay there. That is a big city. But and not Antigua. That's another kind of a touristy place. But there's a Lake Antigua, and across on one side is a small, very picturesque little town, and I think it's San Juan de la Laguna. That's San Juan on the lake, and it's just nice. It's cheap. It's in a very nice part of the world, and the thing is, I speak Spanish fairly well, so I get rid of my communication problems, and I like the idea of being in this hemisphere, or not this hemisphere, but the one back home in North America, because then if something happens with family or anything, it's a really quick, easy flight. Heck, if I stayed in Guatemala, I can drive down there. I could take the car and drive all the way to Guatemala and have a vehicle. So I'm going to go there for a month in November before I head back to Texas for Christmas. Oh, just getting too warm. Getting some decent exercise. So, decided to take my shirt off. Don't get blinded by the whiteness. I need a little sun. I need some vitamin D. So, water with great caution. God, it is a nice day. I keep coming back to that. The feeling is starting to fade a little of, I don't know how to put a finger on it. Call it gratitude, I guess. The idea that just being overjoyed at being able to walk normally. Yeah, after being injured like that, it's kind of reminds you that sometimes you do have to be thankful for what you've got. And because it really felt nice, wake up in the morning and to feel happy about something, like just being able to walk. Yeah, that's great, and it's kind of starting to fade now as I'm walking around the apartment and the hotel area with not being reminded any longer. So, but yeah. Key to happiness is being happy with what you got. Maybe. Well, so much for videos of me walking in the woods. I'll try and splice this together, and one of the reasons I'm making this long video is I want to try and learn some video editing skills, which I'm sure I can do. I just have been lazy and procrastinated. So I'm going to try some of the things like when you get the long stretches, you speed it up to high speed and try editing out things that I don't want. And yeah, we'll see. I'll try and get this thing posted on YouTube and then link it to Facebook. But yeah, a couple more days and I'll be in Poland for a day or two and then on to Ukraine. More postcards later.